Hello everyone, my name is Kitetsu and welcome back to my channel. So I am still currently in Berlin by the time you watch this, but I was really hoping I'd get a third video done tonight, and unfortunately that was not to be. It is currently 9:30 and by the time I finished editing this video it's going to be very late and I'm going to be leaving for Berlin in just a few short hours. I've got to get up at 2 AM. But anyway, you don't want to know about that. Let's get straight into the video. The whole point of this video is to discuss the rumour that we are going to get a new army or range of MOONCLAN Grotts and a Darkoath kind of Barbarian clan coming to Age of Sigmar. And these rumours have been around for a good few weeks now, and there is a very good reason for them. Because it's late and I'm tired, I'm going to make this a very quick video because it doesn't need too much discussing, and I know I always say this and end up ranting, but this time I really will be quick. It basically all stems from the release of the characters for the Malign Portents. We had Vorus Starstrike, who was our Lord Ordinator. We had the Darkoath War Queen Marakar. We had the Fungoid Cave Shaman. And last but not least, we had Keldric, the Knight of Shrouds. Now at the time, everyone was thinking, why have they bothered releasing these models? They're kind of good for the grand alliances, but they're not that good for their respective factions. For example, the Lord Ordinator had all these skills for buffing artillery, and if you are a Stormcast Eternal player up until now, they never had artillery, so it was completely useless. Similarly, the Knight of Shrouds, everyone was saying, why is he so good for Night Haunts and yet there's hardly any models available for that faction? The reason the rumours have suddenly sprung up really strongly that we might be getting MOONCLAN Grotts and a Darkoath Barbarian group is because the Lord Ordinator ended up giving rise to an entirely new faction of Stormcast, and the Night of Shrouds ended up being kind of like a very early teaser for the fantastic Night Haunts army that we're getting very shortly. I've kind of summarised it in this this highly scientific picture here, which is clearly 100% proof that what I'm saying is true, but in all honesty, this video is obviously highly speculative, and it's just piecing bits that kind of fit together but may not happen at all. I guess you'd call it just circumstantial evidence, really, but the truth is, the Night of Shrouds did give rise to a brand new Night Haunts army, the Lord Ordinator did give us the Sacrosanct Chamber, and we've got all this new artillery coming. What about the other two? Well, there are a couple of other little hints that we may be getting them. The first was the release order of the faction focuses after they announced the new edition of Age of Sigmar. The first one was only ever going to be the Night Haunts. The second one was obviously going to be the Sacrosanct. Now, if you're going to place bets and you thought these rumours were true, the next faction focus would be on Slaves to Darkness. And surprise, surprise, the very next one was the Ever-Chosen and Slaves to Darkness. Then we would expect the next one to be something from Destruction, and it would have to be an Orruk or a Grot faction, and we actually got an Ironjaws faction focus, and I was a little bit surprised because I was fairly sure that we would get some form of mention of Grotts in here, and nope, there is absolutely nothing. But that means perhaps we could actually be getting an update to Ironjaws, and I would be just as happy with that, because there's actually not very many figures in that army. It's better than some of the factions out there, but I do wish we had more to choose from, especially when they've got absolutely gorgeous models like this, possibly even one of my favourite in Age of Sigmar. As things stand at the moment though, when you go to Destruction and you look at the MOONCLAN Grotts, they've got some absolutely fantastic models, but they're just so outdated, and they've been around for an incredibly long time. Like, I can remember these since, well, as long as I've been in the hobby really, which is a very long time, and it looks like nearly everything I'm looking at here has the online only symbol on them, so you can't even walk into the shops and buy them. I think it would be amazing if they updated the MOONCLAN Grotts, and in fact just Grotts in general, and united them all together. I don't really see the point of splitting them all apart. The last two bits of evidence come from the short stories, I guess, and again this is pretty weak evidence, but around the time that the stories were focused on the Fungoid Cave Shaman and the Darkoath War Queen, and in fact even recently there was a story about the Darkoath War Queen, basically they were really pushing the emphasis on the Grotts and Barbarian tribes. Like, there was quite a lot of backstory and emphasis and information being given about them, And in lots of the community articles that I remember seeing at the time, you were just starting to see mentions of grots everywhere, which just got my mind ticking and thinking maybe these are coming. The slightly more interesting evidence comes from two of the rumour engine pictures, and I don't really like talking about these too much because they really could be anything, but this is clearly a jaw, and it's clearly an orc or an auroch. We know that in about a month or two's time, we're probably due a very large release of 40k orcs, so my money here would be on the fact this is a 40k orc. It could even be the prime orc himself, but we will wait and see. But nevertheless, it could be an auroch, we don't know. The even more interesting one, I think, is this sword, and I get that it's a sword, so it could be from absolutely anything. It's even got a bit of a dark elf kind of vibe going on with it. But when you look at that sword, it does bring to mind the style of swords that you see with the grots. Like, don't tell me you can't see at least a vague similarity between that sword and the ones they have on their spears and this guy here. There's definitely a similarity there. Maybe a tiny bit less cartoony, but definitely the same sort of style. It even goes quite well with the little sickle thing that the fungoid cave shamans had. So what do you think? Do you think that we are looking at some sort of grot faction that could be released? Do you think there's more Iron Jaws on the way? I don't know, let me know down below. I must admit, I was not expecting to bring this one up as well, but on the Warhammer Adventures site, if you go to Age of Sigmar, the main antagonist is a Darkoath Barbarian, just one of many brutal tribes who roam the mortal realms. The Darkoath Barbarians are pledged to the forces of evil. Clad in rugged leather armour, these savage marauders cause mayhem and misery wherever they go, plundering, pillaging and enslaving whole populations, etc, etc. So that's another bit of information that could suggest that we're about to see some more Darkoath Barbarians in the storyline. And the very last piece of evidence comes from this article here, which was the very first one I believe we saw about the new edition of Age of Sigmar. If you scroll down and go to the FAQ at the bottom, it says, are there going to be new models? And it says, you better believe it, there will absolutely be exciting new miniatures for every single Grand Alliance, and you will be seeing some of these on this site really soon. Now obviously they could be referring there to the fact we saw the Sacrosanct and the Night Haunts very soon after this came out, but it does tell you that we are getting new miniatures for Grand Alliance Destruction and Grand Alliance Chaos. Personally, I absolutely love the Slaves to Darkness army, and I think it is quite likely that we could be seeing an update to these, because some of them actually look a little bit too dated in my opinion now. I mean, these don't actually look quite as bad as I thought they did, but I think by today's Games Workshop standards, these do look a little bit too static and old-fashioned, and I personally think they could be a lot better. But yep, that's it from me for this video. Let me know in the comments what you think we're going to get. Do you think Darkoath Barbarians are on the way? Do you think MOONCLAN Grotts are coming? Like I said, it's circumstantial evidence, but clearly something is on the way. We just don't know what yet, and seeing as we have had a faction from the other two Harbingers, it makes sense that we could be getting factions from the other two as well. But anyway, if you like the video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and if you're new to the channel, please do subscribe. Don't forget to hit that bell icon so you know when my videos are released, and otherwise I will see you really soon.